Hej, det er din vært, Anders Nedergaard, a.k.a. Dr. Muskel. Du skal til at lytte til et afsnit af Fitness MK, og det er jeg naturligvis rigtig glad for, at du gerne vil bruge din tid på. Men før du giver dig i kast med det, så har jeg lige en lille smule public service announcements, som jeg gerne vil stange ud. Hvis du allerede har hørt dem før, eller er pisse ligeglad, så kan du springe et par minutter frem, og så slipper du for det. Men noget af det handler om, at vi er begyndt at genudgive de gamle afsnit af Fitness MK for Radio 24/7-tiden. Det du formentlig lagt mærke til, hvis du følger podcasten. Det er jo sådan, at de første 222 afsnit af Fitness MK blev lavet på Radio 24/7, hvor det både blev udgivet som radioprogram og podcast. Og det var i årrækken fra 2015 til 2020. Og det betyder jo, at det er nogle afsnit af en ældre dato, og da mange af afsnittene grundlæggende har en videnskabeligt sådan fundament, så er det værd at bemærke, at videnskaben kan ændre sig i den mellemliggende periode, ligesom at verdens og gæsternes holdning til nogle af de ting, der bliver diskuteret, også godt kan have ændret sig. Man kan genkende de gamle afsnit på deres programnummer. Så hvis man går ind i den app, man afspiller det fra, og ser, at tallet det er 220 eller lavere, så er det selvfølgelig fordi, det er de gamle afsnit. De har også en lidt anden produktion med nogle andre jingler, og alle afsnit fra det 24/7, de har jo også en længde på 54,5 minut, hvor de fleste af afsnittene produceret efter, de er længere. Vi gør det sådan, at vi genudgiver et af de gamle afsnit hver tirsdag og torsdag, mens at eventuelle nyproducerede afsnit, de bliver udgivet som vanligt lørdag morgen. Og vi gør det, at når vi udgiver de gamle afsnit, så får de lov til at ligge øverst i feedet. Vi giver dem altså en ny udgivelsesdato, sådan så de kommer til at ligge øverst for alle dem, der sorterer dem efter udgivelsesdato. Men når de har ligget øverst i feedet i cirka en måned, så retter vi deres udgivelsesdato til deres oprindelige udgivelsesdato, så de rykker ned i feedet, hvis man sorterer efter dato. Sådan så de kommer til at ligge i den rigtige rækkefølge efter en måneds tid, både numerisk og kronologisk. Jeg skal også sige, at den kontaktmail, jeg giver i podcastene, både de gamle og de nye, den har jeg ændret på, eller den er ikke længere den, som jeg siger i afsnittet. Den er nu fitnessmk@andersnedergaard.dk, og ikke den, som der bliver angivet i afsnittet. Jeg har også lavet et nyhedsbrev til podcasten, og jeg har lavet om på hjemmesiden også, for at gøre brugeroplevelsen af podcasten lidt bedre. Der er en blog med et kommentar til nogle af afsnittene og nyheder om den, og der er indlæg oprettet til hvert podcast-afsnit med programteksten og links til de forskellige afspillertjenester, og lidt andre ting, hvis man har lyst til at følge med i podcasten. Der er selvfølgelig også et sted, hvor man kan signe op til nyhedsbrevet. Nyhedsbrevet, der får man månedligt at vide noget om, hvad der er sket og hvad der kommer til at ske i podcasten, og en gang imellem så vil jeg også udsende lidt bonusmateriale via dem. Der er links til alle de her forskellige ting i programteksten i den app, du hører podcasten fra. Og nu skal jeg ikke spille mere af din tid. Jeg vil ønske dig et rigtig godt afsnit og en god dag. Vi snakkes ved.
Du lytter til Radio 24/7.
Den originale taleradio.
Velkommen til Fitness MK med Anders Nedergaard.
Programmet for dig, der træner. I dag der er vi på besøg i Strong for Life Gym i Odense for at interviewe den amerikanske træningsekspert Dan John. Og her i Fitness MK, der taler vi jo om samtidens trænings- og fitness- og sundhedstrends, og det involverer også nogle af de personligheder, som skaber debatten og kulturen omkring træning. Og Dan John, han har været på besøg her i det her gym i udkanten af Odense, for at holde seminar om det, som man nu gør med træning. Og vi tænkte, det var en god mulighed for at springe på og få nogle ord fra en af de toneangivende stemmer. Jeg er jeres vært, Anders Nedergaard, og også kendt som Dr. Muskel. Og jeg har glædet mig meget til det her, fordi at jeg kender Dan John eller jeg kender ham ikke personligt, men jeg er en af dem, jeg har fulgt. Jeg synes, der er enormt mange stemmer i den internationale, hvis man kigger på træning, altså hjemmesider og Facebook om træning, så er der enormt mange stemmer, og de fleste af de stemmer, de er faktisk røvsyge, og specielt blandt de amerikanske, der ser man nok, at mange af de her amerikanske træningseksperter nogle af dem har nogle ret store egoer, og noget af det, jeg synes, der er mega fedt omkring det her med Dan John, det er, at han er meget ydmyg, og det er meget sådan rugbrød og gulerødder, og sådan nogle meget sådan snusfornuftige betragtninger om træning, som viser sig at holde. Der er sådan et fænomen, man meget ofte ser med de amerikanske træningseksperter, og det er, at de ligesom forsøger at argumentere for hvorfor at man skal gøre, som det siger, med alle mulige meget tekniske forklaringer, for ligesom at sådan ligesom stjæle noget troværdighed eller kredibilitet ved at få det til at lyde mere teknisk, end det egentlig er. Og det der med at gøre det teknisk, det bidrager stort set aldrig rigtigt med noget. Og der synes jeg, at Dan John er en af dem, der har været rigtig god til at holde det nede på jorden og holde det som sådan nogle rigtige robotsbetragtninger. Samtidig med, så Dan John, han præsenterer sig selv lige om lidt, men altså, han har også en af dem, der har haft sådan en meget blandet baggrund inden for styrkesport. Og det synes jeg, det giver nogle gange og det er selvfølgelig et subjektivt synspunkt for min egen regning, men det giver nogle gange et lidt bredere perspektiv på træning, end dem, hvor man kun taler om bodybuilding eller æstetisk træning. I'm talking way too much. Sorry about that, but can I make you introduce yourself to the listeners, for the ones that don't know you, and for the ones that know you, of course?
Well, sure. My name's Dan John. I'm from the United States. I grew up in South San Francisco, which is in California, and my goal when I was 13 years old was to throw the discus for Utah State University, and took a while to get there, but I ended up going to college there at Utah State as a discus thrower, discus hammer.
On an athletics...
full athletic scholarship. Yeah, it's a different system there, so you have to pay for it yourself there, so it's a little harder.
Okay.
And then when I graduated, I was going to get a master's degree, and I needed work, and I became the strength coach for the track and field team. And I think then, in 1979, I might have been the only track and field strength coach, I'm pretty sure, in the United States. So I was kind of all by myself out there. And once I started teaching, I continued to keep the hobby of strength coaching. I did it for free.
So what was your day job then?
Oh, for years I was a high school teacher. Okay. I taught economics, I taught history, I taught theology. I coached every sport you could do, but I would keep the weight room open so I could train myself, and then the kids would ask me questions, and it was weird because that was some good learning for me, because you had to learn to pack it in such a way that you could get it across quickly and send them on their merry way so that I could keep working out, because I was still doing the discus and still doing the Highland Games. So I was teaching, coaching, and competing. And
so in the early 80s then, or late 70s still?
It had been the 1980s, the 1990s, and 2000s, yeah.
So were there a Highland Games circuit of sorts in the States back then?
Huge.
Okay.
It was huge. I did my first Highland Games in 1984. I was struggling a little bit to get track meets in. They're hard to find sometimes. And I saw this ad I just saw an ad that said hammer throw. So I showed up with my international hammer with the wire, and all these people are in kilts,
but this is different.
Yeah, and they're drinking and they're throwing all these events, and so in my first Highland game, I got athlete of the day. I won all the events. I'd never seen the events before, but I won them.
Okay, can I stop you for a second?
Sure.
Just to the listeners that aren't familiar with the Highland Games, it's originally a Scottish athletic combination.
Strongman, track meet. Yeah.
Yeah, throwing locks and...
Well, there's traditionally 9 events, and it's... Each one of them is tough. They're all old events and very brutal on the body. The one event, the 56-pound weight for distance, is a 25-kilo ball that's on the end of a wire you hold with one hand, and you spin twice with it. Well, that's hard to do.
So you can, as a rule, you say that says you can only spin twice?
Well, you could spin more, but you don't have any room. You don't have enough room.
Okay.
You have just over 2 meters.
Yeah.
So there's not enough room to do more. So it's a physically demanding event. But the nice thing is, the Highland Games taught me lessons about training that you can only learn sometimes through experience. Like we call it this inner tube pressure.
Yeah.
We call it anaconda strength. That
sounds very teenage.
Yeah. When you're fighting a 25-kilo ball that's trying to go off, it wants to go back on the ground, and you're spinning around with it. It teaches you to hold that internal pressure. Well, then you take that new information, you apply it to the sport you're coaching, and all of a sudden we have a breakthrough and people get better.
Yeah. So did you ever? What level were you competing at in the hammer throw? Oh, discus, sorry.
In the discus, I was an international level thrower. Being from the United States, I was good, but I wasn't good enough.
So did you go to World Championship?
Like I would go to the nationals and things like that. I was a good thrower, but there was a time where in the United States we probably had at track meets 3 or 4 guys who had all held the world record, and then here I come. Hey, how you guys doing? And I was good, but not good enough. I mean, so there was a meet one time where down at Modesto, I checked that, UCLA, where 12th place was a 68-meter throw, which the time 70 is freakish distance.
Yeah.
Very few, no one throws 70 anymore, but there was just a different world when I was coming up. Yeah. So I was good, but not that good. Yeah. Kind of wish I was coming up now.
So a lot of our viewers, the people in Denmark that know you probably mostly know you from your teenage articles.
Okay.
I would guess.
Now, in my defense, for those teenage articles, that at T-Nation, they sometimes add a little bit of spice, a little flavor, a little jalapeno. So they don't do it as much anymore. Now they edit me and they cut me back. But for a while there, they were adding things. And but the thing is, they weren't funny. And so, yeah.
So, for the viewers that don't know, T-Nation is... it's a training site, but it's packaged together with this weird hyper masculine,
very masculine, very
weird style and a lot of product endorsements. That's
a lot of product endorsements, and just that whole lots of pictures of gorillas, lots of pictures of strange looking people. Yeah.
So and the product endorsements really suck. That's
Well, and you guys you get them here, right?
I don't know if they ship overseas.
Actually, and some of them have ingredients that I'm sure aren't.
They're like really pointy fonts and a very high contrast and black and red and
a lot of red. Yeah.
So, but I think that's where most people here know you from.
Okay.
You wrote for bodybuilding.com as well, right?
Well, they found articles of mine online and cut and pasted them and put them on the site
without asking.
Right. And then I had to go in and say,
classy.
I did write one article, and I think it's one of the better things I've ever written. It was 10 years after 9/11, and so they asked. I think that might be the best thing I've ever written. But I went in one time and I wrote a little email that the article starts off on May 21st, 1988, 1 week after I got married. I went to a track meet at Utah State, but they didn't credit it to me. And my point was, if you can find anyone in the world who was a discus thrower at Utah State who got married on May 14th, would you let them talk to me? Because this is amazing.
Dan John, han har lige fortalt om sit liv, hvordan han har startet som discuskaster og blev involveret i det her Highland Games Sports, som er jo sådan en afledt af en skotsk konkurrence, som stammer helt tilbage fra middelalderen, hvor man konkurrerer i noget vægt, altså 9 discipliner, hvor der for eksempel findes noget som cable toss, hvor man kaster med en træstamme, hvor det handler om at få den til ligesom at flippe, så den bouncer af jorden, og forskellige former for kast med tunge ting. Og det har åbenbart været en ting. Det har der været sådan et miljø for i USA.
I'm the boss, motherfucker. I'm like getting the feeling of coming in the gym. I'm getting the feeling of coming at home. I'm getting the feeling of coming backstage when I pump up, when I pose out in front of 5,000 people. I get the same feeling. So I'm coming day and night. Man, you the bro. Do it. You must bro.
Sometimes you can hear like your body starts talking to you, like goes, oh, I can't do it anymore, and then your mind goes, shut up buddy, and do what I tell you.
Du lytter til Radio 24/7.
Du lytter til Fitness MK, programmet for dig, der træner. Vi er i Strong for Life Gym i Odense for at interviewe Dan John. Og Strong for Life Gym, det ligger i udkanten af Odense, faktisk rigtig meget i udkanten af Odense. Det er faktisk sådan, at hvis man kigger til den ene side, så er der marker. Og det er sådan et personligt motionscenter, der startede her for relativt kort tid siden af en fyr, der hedder Ole Stovgaard, som en af de få mennesker i Danmark, der har formået både at udøve triathlon på højt niveau, og er faktisk rigtig stærk. Han kan squatte over 200 kilo, når han er i god form. Og det er sådan en industribygning, hvor der er sat nogle kontorer ind i, og der er prowler tracks, og masser af squat-stativer. Jeg tror ikke, at der står en eneste sådan klassisk træningsmaskine, noget som helst sted i centret. Så der er meget fokus på sådan en helt almindelig plain styrketræning med stænger og håndvægte. Det er faktisk et nice sted. Og til jer, der lytter med derude, så skal I huske, at I kan skrive ind til programmet på fitnessmk@radio247.dk eller på vores Facebook-side. Så skal vi nok prøve på at svare på de spørgsmål, der kommer, og tage mod de forslag, der kommer til nye ting. So one of the things that with resistance training, I'm a history buff of sorts, and the whole story about this divergence of strength training culture that happened between Bob Hoffman and the York Barbell Club and the whole wider and IFBB thing, I find it really fascinating. So, I'm actually, that's a bad place to start. I'm actually a member of a weightlifting club that was founded in 1894.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we have a lot of old pictures from way back before weightlifting was formalized to the degree it is today. Yeah. And I really liked the way before the 60s or 50s, where if you were strong and you had athletic prowess, you looked like someone. So looking like something was associated with the degree of functionality, and that was really disconnected when the Wilder brothers established the whole bodybuilding thing.
Well, yeah, that is true. And the problem is, in fact, most of your listeners are probably stuck in this paradigm that that bodybuilding is weightlifting. And if they go into the gym, they train like a bodybuilder. And we have the problem with athletics where they do far too many reps. They're trying for hypertrophy, which is really hard to do. Hypertrophy is a really hard thing, and they ignore just good old-fashioned getting stronger first. Yeah. Get stronger, build the base. We call it, well, in my gym, we call it Frankenstein training. It's where you have an arm day, a leg day, a chest day, and the truth is, if you're truly an athlete, the body is one piece. The overriding thing in all my work is integrity. And integrity means to be one person. In moral theology, it's to be the same person everywhere. In eschatology, it means in the afterlife, you'll still be you. Yeah. But in the weight room, integrity means you're one piece. Yeah. And so when I train people, I try to get across the idea that you can't start separate. Okay, this is pancreas day, and tomorrow's liver day. But that's the way people hear it, and it just gets crazier and crazier. And it's not a good model for training.
Yeah. I agree very, very, very much. And my own experience with training was actually resistance training. I started in a commercial gym with these arm days, leg days, and shoulder days. And then I got when I moved to Copenhagen, I got to train in a powerlifting gym, and then after that again in a weightlifting gym. So each of these changes was an epiphany of sorts for me. That
exactly.
And after that, I got to train with a lot of people from track and field, which have their own view of resistance training again. So it's been for me, it's been an interesting journey, and it resonates very well with me when you. Part
of my workshop is there's a very famous weightlifter from Germany. He was also a wrestler named George Hackenschmidt. Well, George Hackenschmidt and an Australian track and field coach, Percy Sarity, started to have a series of letters. For the younger listeners, letters are when you take paper and you write words on it and you put it in a thing called an envelope, so in case they got scared, you know. And if you can get a hold of those letters, which they have in United States in a place called the Stark Center, you get this chance to look at this. This is before anabolic steroids. This is before machine training. And everything those two guys talk about in those letters, discussions, and later books.
So what is a correspondence or a letter course?
No, a correspondence. Okay. The two of them talking. Yeah. It is the foundation of what most of us in 2017 wish we wouldn't have lost in 1965 to 72.
But just because something was lost.
It was all lost.
Yeah.
And you read it now, and it's like these two guys understood it. It was big lifts, few reps, few sets. Get strong. Thank you very much. Now go do your sport.
Yeah.
And I say that to people, and they think it's something brand new. And it's like, yeah, I invented it before I was born. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So a funny thing. I'm a member of this very old weightlifting barbell club, and we have some really old guys that has been doing weightlifting from before there were steroids and before they actually were commercial gyms. And it's really interesting to talk to them because they can actually, they knew how to get strong, and they knew how actually. So if they had a foundation period of training where they needed to get heavier, they also knew that you had to increase overall fatigue levels in the training and increase volume, and they had a sense for that.
It's as simple as if you want to get stronger, lift weights. I mean, I people think I'm joking when I say that, or I'm reducing it down, but it's not. It's you show up, you keep coming back over time, you refine your technique, you intelligently add load, and all of a sudden one day people are like, "What did you do to yourself? You look." Well, yeah, it's the problem we have is, and we see it in American television all the time, and it might happen here. I didn't see much of it, but this is this overnight thing. A friend of mine, Charles Staley, wrote a book, and it said, instantly grow an inch to your arms in 2 weeks. Instantly in 2 weeks. But he told me, he said, he added the word instantly because that sold more books.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's still 2 weeks, but there's this idea that, and if I offered a 90-day program, somebody would undercut me with a 30-day program.
6 minute apps.
6 minutes. No, you get the 7th minute for free. Yeah. So yeah, and we're in a strange time when it comes to the human body, because it seems like we're getting away from the fact that we have bodies in some ways. I worry about the young ladies being stuck to their iPhones, their phones all the time. There's no situational awareness about, and there are bad people in the world, but there's also things like trucks and buses and things like that that you could easily walk into, and I'm trying to get people back to this core. I wouldn't say it's boring, but this more traditional way of training, where you are one, and that's the Western tradition: body, mind, soul, and spirit, one. And I worry a little bit that we're starting to separate the body, forgetting the body a little bit.
Yeah. But I think as far as the knowledge about and knowledge and culture about resistance training is changing now with CrossFit, because it has brought weightlifting back. And I don't know how it is in the States with that, but here in Europe we've seen a massive resurgence. I don't know if that's the word for in competitive weightlifting, with people that have been introduced to weightlifting during CrossFit and are now competing primarily as weightlifters.
It was never lost. That's the thing. It was never
not totally. But
those of us in track and field and the Olympic lifts have been doing it for a long time, but I actually think it's the women that have done a better job with it. When the women got involved in the Olympic lifts, that seemed to really bump the numbers up. When I go to gyms in America, it's the women Olympic lifters that are a bit more inspiring than the men. The problem with Olympic lifting, and God bless it for it, is that the bar is this high off the ground, and it's only that you're far too tall to be an Olympic lifter.
Unless I weigh 160 kilos.
And you're far too long. The bar's too small for you.
Yeah.
And I think we need the weights higher off the ground. I think we need longer, wider bars. We're stuck in this bar that was designed in 1936. And so the sport has morphed that the champions fit a certain style. Very short, very stocky, very fast twitch. And so at the elite levels, there really is no movement.
Dem, der har lyttet med, dem, der er faste lyttere på programmet, de kan nok genkende det her med, at den her historie om, at forestillingen om, at kroppen ligesom, kroppens udseende er afkoblet fra dens funktion. Det var sådan noget, der skete i sådan en strid mellem nogle forskellige fraktioner i USA i 50'erne og 60'erne. Og hvor dem, der ligesom vandt den strid, det var dem, der kom til at stå for den moderne bodybuilding, som var de første, der begyndte at tale om kroppens udseende som noget, der var helt afkoblet fra dens funktion. Og det har påvirket træningskulturen enormt meget. på den måde, ligesom, hvor det blandt andet udmønter sig i, at folk har armdage og bendage, hvor Dan John taler om, at det er at træning virker bedre, hvis man tænker på træning af kroppen som sådan en helhed i stedet for.
I have this kind of firm belief that there's simple instruction and there's complex instruction, but there's also simple concepts and complex concepts. So if you ask me, where is the bathroom? And I just say, well, it's right over there. Well, it was a simple question with a simple answer. You would go, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. But if I say, where's the bathroom? And I say, well, the coordinates of the bathroom are 27 latitude, 14 hour, 2 minute. And you'd look at me like I'm an idiot because I made a very simple thing very complex.
Yeah.
If you're going to study Sir Isaac Newton, okay, and you're going to study the laws of gravity, and you really don't have a great math background, and I told you, it might take you 2 or 3 years just to catch up to start the process, you'd look at me and go, okay, that's a complex thing with a it's a complex set of instructions, but I get it. It's because it's a hard thing. Now, so when I tell you something simple with a simple answer, of course. When I tell you something complex with a complex answer, of course. The problem is this. Some people, how do you say this nicely? Take something that's rather simple and make it as convoluted, complex, and full of the stuff you'd find in a barnyard that you can possibly imagine. Okay? It's a load of wood. It's a bunch of junk.
Yeah, but I mean, probably the incentive for doing so is if you can make some people believe that something is difficult, then they increase the demand for themselves. For a lot of the experts increase the demands of their
and you get paid back in money and great trips to Denmark. But on the other hand, if you can take, and this is the key, if you can take something that's complex and deliver it in bite-sized, simple units, so that your students, your clients, your athletes master it. To me, that's the art of coaching. That's the art of teaching. And I focus on that all the time. I teach the discus stretch 1, 2, 3. And I can take you from youth to adult as an elite thrower with something that simple. Because I strive real hard, and a lot of people I know do this too, is to take these complex sports movements and try to find the most important elements, the fundamentals, the basics, and explain those and then build on top of it so that the athlete is doing this beautifully complex movement. And they say, well, and the phrase we're always looking for, I said it was simple, not easy. So I try to make things simple. Of course, the application is hard. I mean, it's going to take 8 years, 5 years, 6 months to master it. But to me, that's the art of coaching, the art of teaching.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, it makes sense, but everyone hates it.
No, but it also resonates with the way I think about it.
Often people say to me after a workshop, I love your work, you make things so easy. And it just breaks my heart because it was so hard to get it that simple. It was so hard to get it that easy. So hard to get it that basic.
Yeah.
I spend way too many hours with pieces of paper, scratching things out and trying again and typing things up and going backwards to make it simple.
So if we can get into like the more specific application of what you could recommend screening-wise and training-wise and periodization-wise.
Sure.
So if you have an untrained individual that has to become stronger for something, I would guess that the initial phases of getting stronger would be pretty much the same for everyone.
Well, first off, you said something that's very unusual. If I had an untrained person, I'd throw my arms around them and say, thank you for showing up. I'm so happy. So we define somebody who's untrained as somebody who's never done a diet and never done an exercise program. And they're the best person you can ever work with. I work with a young lady and I said, how many diets have you done? And you can see her thinking. She goes, about 30. And I'm like, well, so no matter what I tell her in the areas of nutrition, she's going to say, oh, I did that here, I did that there, that didn't work, I already know that. So untrained is the best person you can ever work with. So in the system I teach, we always start with the fundamentals of movement first. And actually, we start with no movement. So we put you in the position. You can call them, like, for example, most people recognize like a plank. Yep. But there's planks for all kinds of different parts of the body. The gluteal bridge is a plank, the kneeling plank. So I put you in the positions.
Like supports, actually.
Yeah. And even the goblet squat, really, it's odd to say this, but it's a squat, but it's a moving plank. Even though you're trying to stay firm. And of course, I always joke, farmer walks are moving planks. It's when you pick up a weight in both hands and walk with it. But the rest of your body has to be held rigid with total integrity. And so I always start with movement first. In fact, in a sense, no movement first. Get them in the positions where they're probably weakest and hold it there and kind of master that first.
So like static?
Yeah. What's strange is from there, if they master the static, they also master what I consider the most important key in strength, and that's tension. So one of the harder things to teach an untrained person or someone who's lifted weights a long time, but is they haven't learned yet to control tension. When I'm lifting heavy, my big toes are driving into the ground. My glutes, my butt cheeks are squeezing together. I'm squeezing my thighs as tight as I can to make myself taller. I'm crunching my abs. I'm squeezing everything I have. If it's a one-handed thing, the other hand is making a fist. Well, to learn all those little things I just told you, I can do it. There's an easy way to do it. I can make your finger wet and stick your finger in the socket right there, and you'll get a jolt of electricity, and that will teach you tension. Or we have to teach it by turning this on, turning that on, turning this on. The other side of that is then shaking all that tension off so that you can then learn to move with it. But I think a lot of people miss the importance of that early part where we're teaching you tension in that position so that when we do add movement to it, you're able to control your movement.
So when you talk about tension, are you a fan of like having people flex in position to attain that tension, or just a prerequisite level of tension to be in that position?
Well, early I'm trying to teach them to hold tension in this part of the body and to build up tension in that part of the body at the same time, because that's the issue. Yeah. Many people will when they try to make a lift, they'll be tense in the muscles that are moving. That's my knock. I shouldn't say a knock. That's my issue with machine training. By the way, machine training is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no good and bad in the weight room. But what happens is you can turn off half or 3/4 of your body while you're making other parts of your body move. Well, and that's fine if you're, of a certain age and we're just trying to, keep your hormonal cascade going. But if you're trying to learn, we want you to learn kind of the hard way to turn on the whole body, and don't forget, and then turn it all off, on, off, which is the key to strength. And once you learn planks, then we move you into basic strength training, basic hypertrophy, that building muscle, lean body mass. We can build from there, and then later we can add speed to it. The mistake most people have is that they come in too quickly with speed.
Yeah,
I think.
So what would such an exercise session look like? And what can you give an example of what specific exercises you would be using?
Well, I break movement down into 5 fundamental movements, and then the 6th one, which is everything else. So it's push, pull, hinge. Hinge is what you would do to do a standing long jump. Big hip movement, little knee movement. Squat, big hip movement, big knee movement, and then the loaded carry family. So the first day I'm working with you, I'm going to teach you to squat deep. I'm going to teach you to do loaded carries, and those 2 will be the biggest game changers for most people. The authentic squat will open your hips up. I have a total...
You say authentic squat?
Authentic. Authentic means it looks like a human squatting and not a disaster, not the Titanic. Yeah. So a real quick thing about the human body. We are not built on top of our legs. This is a hard thing for people to understand. And so many people, when they squat, they say squats hurt my knees. And then I look at them, it's because they're squatting down on top of their knees and putting all the pressure on that poor little patella tendon. We are built between our legs. So as you squat down, you squat between your legs. Now you have to stand up and do this in a gym or get a good coach to show it to you. But when you do it, it's so natural, and you'll say, you know what, this doesn't hurt my knees. I know, because you're squatting. You're not, accordion, do you do accordions? Squeeze box, accordion?
Yeah.
We call them accordion squats. That's when you just go, and that's when you're blowing your knees apart.
Yeah.
So an authentic squat then is when you squat between your legs. And of course, then we use the farmer walk to teach, give you some work capacity the first day. And then we'll spend the rest of our time really trying to teach you what a hinge feels like. To really, you know.
So that would be the same as posterior chain, or?
Yeah, it's in the same family. Yeah, that's part of it. It's the swing, it's the Olympic lifts, it's the deadlift, it's that the big movers. And then from there, for most Americans, I usually start with, then we teach them some pull exercises. Most Americans have shoulder issues because of our throwing sports. And last would be the push. The last thing most males need is more pushing.
Yeah.
So, and then from there, we just make assessments about what else they might need. But if you're not doing push, pull, hinge, squat, loaded carry, yeah, especially squat, hinge, and loaded carry, you're probably missing the big stuff. It comes down to something Yonda taught us 70 years ago. There are certain muscles that weaken with age, illness, and injury. And it's okay to say like deltoid and tricep. Do I need to explain?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So the muscles that weaken with age are the deltoids, the shoulder muscle, the triceps, the back of the arms, the glutes, which you're probably sitting on right now, and the ab wall. The abdominal wall is a fast twitch muscle fiber. The best way to train the ab wall is probably vomiting. Vomiting is a great abdominal exercise.
Or heavy laughing.
Or heavy laughing is the other one. It's a fast twitch muscle. So if I can just get people to build up their deltoids and triceps, their shoulders, and the pushing muscles of the arms, and their glutes, magic happens. There's an American television show called Sex and the City, which has probably the best explanation of this I've ever had. But the one woman, Samantha, meets this very wealthy New York man who's also 70 years old, but he has a lot of money, and he brags he also has a lot of Viagra. Okay, that's all well and good. And then a little problem shows up. When he jumps out of bed, he has a saggy butt. His butt drops very loosely down his backside. The butt is the symbol of youth, but it's also the symbol of power. I sent one of my assistant coaches to a high-level track meet one time, and because he wasn't understanding what I was trying to teach him. And I got a little text back from him, butts. Yeah. He had to go to a high-level track meet to understand, because, you know, when you work out...
Those big horse asses.
Yeah. When you're at a normal gym and you're seeing people who look good in the mirror, but they're not high performance. And it was just the funniest, one of my favorite texts of all time. Butts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So... When people have progressed into resistance training and have attained, let's say, intermediate level of strength,
okay,
and master the movements, what should they focus on? What would the training look like according to you?
Well, if you're just on a training, okay, so you've mastered your planks, you've mastered the basic barbell, kettlebell, dumbbell movements, okay? From there, I move into what we call the anti-rotation movements. And you would know that that'd be the one arm, like the one arm press overhead, the one arm bench press. An interesting one, the one arm suspended row.
Yeah.
And the thing is with that, I'm testing you across your body. So the cue for all this stuff is, where is your belly button? Is your belly, if on one side your belly button doesn't move at all, okay, that's interesting. But on the other side, say your left arm, for example, when I do a one-arm row, your belly button starts going all over the place. We then realize that you are you have a side that's lagging behind. And so we have a whole series of, well, the key is to focus then for a while on the offside. And the reason we do this is I don't want to add speed if you have any dysfunction.
So you have stability, dysfunction.
On both. Yeah. So you have to have, you don't have to be perfectly equal, but close. The joke I usually use when people ask me about adding speed is I say this. So last night, I drank a bottle of aquavite by myself, okay? And then I realized that I was far away from my hotel. So I got in my car and I drove home as fast as I could so I wouldn't be on the road a long time. Now that's crazy, right? So I tell people, when you try to make people go fast with bad movement, instabilities, asymmetries, it's like when you're driving drunk as fast as you can to get home safe.
So when you're talking fast in this context, is that Olympic lifts or is that throwing?
Olympic lifts would be later, throwing would be later.
Okay.
We would still, what we also move in at this time is this is when we start doing things like, we do simple high knee work, leads to bounding, leads to skipping and things like that. And we're not doing plyometrics necessarily. We're still looking for that belly button to make sure that belly button isn't going all over the place. So if you can come at me in a normal skip and your belly button's attacking, that's fine. But if you're bouncing all over, you probably can't handle speed yet.
Ja, det var Dan Johns syn på sådan, kan man sige, styrketræning og stabilitetstræning i virkeligheden også for begyndere og sådan medium trænede. Og det handler meget om at kunne bevæge sig med den korrekte grad af spænding og den korrekte grad af stabilitet igennem bevægelserne, før man begynder sådan rigtig at fyre den af med at træne.
The greatest feeling you can get in a gym, or the most satisfying feeling you can get in the gym, is the pump.
And one. And back. Two to the left. And forward. Now reverse it. To the left. Don't punch your shoulders. And back. To the right.
Pump up the volume, pump up the volume, pump up the volume. Check it out.
Vi kalder nu på alle de modløse, de trætte, de sløje og sløve, og de, hvis lægemlige kraft og sundhed har svigtet.
Du lytter til Radio 24/7.
I lytter til Fitness MK, programmet for dig, der træner. Vi er i Strong for Life Gym i Odense for at interviewe den amerikanske træningsekspert Dan John. Og mit navn det er Anders Nedergaard. So now that we talked about the beginners and the medium or intermediate level, well, actually I have a question more about the intermediate level trained ones. So for such a person, how much of that would be, in your view of training, would be like regular, fit in people's concept of resistance training, and how much would be in what people would consider stability?
Well,
is it a 50-50 or?
No, we would still continue on about, 3 weeks on of traditional training and maybe a full week of just testing things out.
Yeah.
That's so, if to use the percents, I would say 3/4, what we consider traditional hypertrophy strength training. Yeah.
Okay.
What most people would recognize what we do in the weight room. And then about 1/4 of it, we're assessing and testing if they can handle speed. But you can also have, the thing is, you can have fabulous workouts doing these things. I got to be careful. So fabulous training sessions.
Yeah.
One of the mistakes we make is we use this word called workout.
Yeah.
And the people's, can I go on with another quick thing?
By all means.
So I have a theology background, and there's a concept in theology called steno symbols. And a steno symbol has one meaning. The word I usually use is desk. Okay, we're sitting here at a desk. Okay? So we're at a beach, and a beautiful girl walks by, and I lean over to you and say, "She is so desk." And you would look at me like, I don't know what you... And there's a word now called gay. It's a great word. And when I was growing up, there was a poem, "Waken lords and ladies gay, on the mountain dawns the day." And there's a song, "Don we now are gay apparel." So I can sit down with any member of your audience and say, the word gay means happy. Okay? The word gay means happy. The word gay means happy. And then I'll say to you, Anders, because of meeting you, I'm gay. And every single person in your listening audience will hear something radically different.
Yeah.
So the word gay is now a steno symbol. Okay, why did I go through all that? This is why. when a typical person comes in and I say, why do you want to come into my gym? What's your goal? They're going to tell me what they think I want to hear. And the steno symbol for what's your goal is I want to lose a few kilos. Now, they might not need to, but that is the response they get. When I say, hey, I want to talk to you about food and nutrition, what every client in the world hears is, I want you to eat rabbit food and have starvation. Even if I said I want you to eat more protein, more vegetables, drink more water, what they hear is rabbit food, starvation. Then when I say, and we're going to have a training session today, what they hear is, I'm going to make you a sweaty mess and you're going to vomit in a bucket. So one of the things that's killing us in 2017 in this field is that no matter what, it's like we're speaking two different languages literally today. But when I go to England sometimes, I teach at St. Mary's University in Twickenham, London, in strength conditioning. Sometimes my students will tell me a story about something they did over the weekend. I speak English fairly well. I speak American, but it's American English. And they speak, English. But I'll look at them like, I don't even know what you're talking about, because the nouns the British use are different than the nouns the Americans use.
Yeah.
So sometimes they'll tell me a story and all of a sudden, like, I missed what you just said there. Like something as simple as we call them sweaters, they call them jumpers. Well, a jumper in America is what a little girl wears to school.
Yeah.
So when I said I was wearing a jumper, my first thought is, okay, this got weird very fast. Having said that, when I'm talking to most clients, we're using the same words, but we have radically different meanings. I tell you, most of the people listening today, if I said, I've got nutritional advice for you, they would either expect a magic pill, rabbit food, or starvation.
Yeah.
And so we've got to get ourselves out of that. And that's one of the things I'm trying to do with my career, is break people out of this, the steno symbol that
that's not associated with weight loss.
That's not what I mean. I'm trying to tell you, I want you to live. So I'll be 60 this year. I want you to be at your great-grandchildren's wedding, and I want you to dance at that wedding. I want you to feel good, move well. And what they hear is, rabbit food, vomit, got it.
Yeah.
No, I never said that.
I forgot what the original question was.
What happened is you asked me about where we go for training, and then I accidentally used the word workout, and then it got me on this roll. But it's okay. I think that's as important as saying to people 5 sets of 2. I mean, I think that's just as important, because we need to get our minds wrapped around the fact that I would like to see you exercise every day for the rest of your life. I said exercise. So someone just thought vomit. I would like you to get out and go for a walk and move around and feel better. And so I'm striving to get people to move in that direction.
Yeah.
When
a humanistic view of physical activity of sorts.
Yeah. Well, the research on longevity is fascinating. You know, it's believed that you only need 100 minutes a week to extend your life 7 years of exercise. That's 5 20-minute walks.
Yeah.
And yet we struggle in many of our industrial countries with that. And it's not an unusual week where I might do that a day.
So probably like regular physical activity associated with locomotion and is probably more important for overall health than taking workout bouts through the week.
Right.
That's some pretty interesting. There's a really nice video on YouTube by an epidemiologist. I can't remember his name. That says, "Can you restrict the amount of time you spend sitting or sleeping to 23.5 hours per day?" And then there's drawings. I'll put up the link for the show, but it's a very nice video. If you haven't seen it, you really should. It's beautiful executed.
Right.
I was going to ask you about periodization, because at least in my own view, I don't know if that resonates with you, but that actual periodization only becomes really relevant when you've passed into like the intermediate level of lifting and are progressing to the advanced level.
Would you mind the way we kind of explain it?
Sure.
So let's just say, okay, now if you're an athlete, you have a set season, and we would change things a little bit. But for the typical listener today, the bulk of the population, we set our periodization up according to the seasons.
Yeah.
So generally in most countries, fall is back to school time. In America, that's when we play our most organized sport, which is American football. So I tell people, when it's back to school time, this is a good time of year to get yourself into what you would call a program. And maybe that's the one that has the 6 weeks, and on you'll know what you're supposed to be doing the third Wednesday of the what time and what lifts. In the winter, with it getting colder, I usually tell people that's the best time to get those really fast workouts in. Because in my gym, we don't have any... we have no climate control. We open it. So my gym, freezing for you guys is 0, right?
Yeah.
So my gym gets minus Celsius very often in the winter. So when you come in to train with me...
But it's indoor, right?
No, there's a roof over it.
Okay.
So there's times we can't do loaded carries because there's snow.
Okay.
So when you come to my gym in the winter, everybody trains... it's called go hard, go heavy, go home. Yep. Okay? Because it's too cold to deal with it. Now, when spring rolls around, love is in the air. We literally go outside in the spring and start training on parks, and we drive to a park, and you bring sandwiches, I'll bring kettlebells, she brings the TRX, and we all get together and have a picnic workout. And in the summer, much of our time is spent, the bulk of our training in the summer is outdoor playing. We play games, we take, with equipment and challenges, and then comes fall and we go back to a structured workout, and then comes, so that's probably the best way I can think of it. I have this weird little phrase that I can kind of famous for. People ask me about nutrition, and I say, eat like an adult. And people go, oh, it's a meme. It's on Facebook all the time with all these memes and stuff. It's become very big. And I tell people, eat like an adult, play like a child. Yeah. And the thing is I'm trying to get people, because most Americans, I know anyway, eat like children and play like adults. They sit at the TV set and watch somebody else have fun. And so that's how I see periodization. Now, if we want to talk about a sport model, then we have to crank it up to all the appropriate preseason and all the other stuff that would have to come in, all the qualities we want to build up over time. Yeah. But for most people...
But if it's for a powerlifter, for example, where the sports skill is the lifting by itself,
yeah.
Is your view on periodization in that context different?
Yeah. Now, if your sport is a lifting sport, your life, you can use periodization. So that'd be an Olympic lifter, a power lifter, or somebody who does that gear voice sport with kettlebells. But for the rest of us, and this is the hardest thing for young athletes to learn, we need to build up our strength about 6 weeks before our performances. And here's the hard thing to learn. And then we have to watch our strength go down.
Yeah.
Because you can only, the phrase I always use, if you chase 2 rabbits, you're going to go home hungry.
Yeah.
So the problem most athletes have that I work with is like, so Dan, I want to throw the discus farther. Oh, good. But I also want to have 6-pack abs. Okay, that's 2 rabbits. And I want to have big arms to look good with the girls. That's 3 rabbits. And then they say, I want this, and I want this, and I want this. By the time they talk to me, there's 10 rabbits. Well, no one's going to catch 10 rabbits. Oh. So what you have to have the courage to do as an athlete is watch your strength levels drop to allow your performance to go up.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, and it's very nice in a very nice room here, it's easy to say, it's hard to put into practice. It takes a lot of courage for an athlete to watch their numbers drop.
Yeah.
But their performance in the sport they want is going up.
So we're actually approaching the end of the show, and I'm pretty sure some of the listeners would be really interested in getting something more specific about the resistance training. And I know that I've read a couple of your books. From the Ground Up, I think was the first one I read, which I really
free,
liked.
Yeah, it's free on my site. Yeah.
And you've done 4, 5, 6, 12. Damn it, that's a lot. I'll put up the names for another.
Yeah, 3 came out last year. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you're very productive.
And I have another one coming out in about 2 weeks.
But you have a lot of like discrete programming concepts for exercises, like the easy strength that Ole, he wrote some Facebook updates about it. Can you briefly talk about your view on? I mean, one thing I've noticed is that you don't preach a lot of volume in your training.
If you want to get strong, you can't do a lot of reps.
No.
Yeah. If you want to get bigger, you would do more reps. So we call it the rule of 10. You probably want to have 10 quality reps with heavy weight in a workout.
Irrespective of distribution in sets of reps?
3 sets of 3, 2 sets of 5, 6 singles. There's just not that many. Now, for hypertrophy, the numbers go up. And the research from DeLorme and Watkins is still true, 20 to 30 reps total, which is 3 sets of 8, 3 sets of 10, 5 sets of 5. The workouts most people would recognize from 40 years ago. For fat loss, this is the hard one. You need to do inefficient exercise. You got to do things you're bad at. So if you're a champion swimmer, the worst thing for you for fat loss is swimming. Real quick, but there's a neighbor of mine has this really high-tech bicycle, and he could probably roll 100 kilometers in this bicycle. It's all streamlined, everything. My bicycle weighs 45 kilos. It can hold beer. It can hold beer here. It can hold beer there. It's got a beer opener on it. It's called a cruiser. Near my house, there's a little sign that says slow to 10 miles an hour. And I laugh because I don't think I can get my bike up to 10 miles an hour. So if I ride 100 kilometers on my bike, it will be a fat burning workout. So for strength, few reps. For hypertrophy, 20 to 30 total reps. For fat loss, find things you're very inefficient at. If you're a terrible dancer, dance. I burn fat dancing. I'm a terrible dancer. But if you're a great dancer, you're too good. It's not going to make you burn fat.
So if you have three simple things that people should take home, what should that be?
Number one, the body is one piece. The body's one magnificent piece. So get away from Frankenstein training and get away from the idea that you can separate your mind and your body. You're all one piece. Number two, I would say that, let's go this, very simple. Eat like an adult. Quit eating candy bars. Don't have comfort food. Eat like a big kid. Eat like your grandmother would tell you to eat. Okay? And number three, it's our family motto. No matter what you do, 3 words, make a difference. Leave the world a little better than we found it. Every decision I make, my wife and I, we put it through the prism of, will it make a difference in this world? Will it make the world a better place? So yes, some of it's training, and yes, some of it's nutrition, but at the same time, let's make a difference. Let's make this world a little bit better.
Ja, det var Dan John, og du har lyttet til Fitness MK. Jeg hedder Anders Nedergaard, og du kan lytte til den her og de andre udsendelser, vi har lavet via stream og podcast.
And the best place to find me is danjohn.net. But you can also find me on this little place called Amazon, but it's, danjohn.net will get you most of the stuff.
And you're on Facebook and Twitter?
I'm on Facebook as Daniel John and Dan John Strength Coach.
Programmet det er produceret af Nette Birk. I kan skrive ind på vores e-mailadresse, som er fitnessmk@radio247.dk, eller på vores Facebook-side, som hedder fitnessmk.
Du lytter til Radio 24/7. Om lidt er der nyheder.